You're listening to the Real Anime Podcast. My name is Mohnish, and I am here joined with my co-host, as usual, Lewis Knight, the man, the mission, the Liverpool supporter. They're going through a bit of hard times right now, but it's okay. We are here today to talk about the film that is very likely become an Oscar-worthy film and a very, very big film for Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value. Directed by Joachim Trier, this film stars Renate Reinsve as well as Stellan Skarsgård, as well as Elle Fanning in a amazing ensemble of Scandinavian stars. The film follows two estranged sisters, Nora and Agnes, who reunite with their once renowned director father, Gustav, played by Stellan Skarsgård, who offers Nora, played by Renate Reinsve, a role in his comeback film. But she refuses, and we get this deep family drama about the eldest daughter versus the father and the dead mother and the sister, and it's a really domestic drama that reaches much higher than it ever should. Lewis, talk to us. How are you? Did you like the film? Did you cry?
It was bloody fantastic. I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Well, that's what we call a speed run.
But in all honesty, the film itself, I really enjoyed it. I thought at first 20 minutes, it was a bit boring, not gonna lie. But never judge a book by its cover. Let it play out, then you start to see the true meaning of this film, which I certainly enjoyed from the 20th minute to the last minute of the film. And I'm thankful that you recommended me this film. And not a lot of people will actually believe that I watched this film, believe it or not.
Why wouldn't they believe that you would watch this film, Lewis?
Because you see, right, Mohnish, they see me as a man of many wonders and they expect the unexpected from me. So that's the reason why.
Sentimental Value is for sure one of the year's best films. Both of us have reviewed it on Letterboxd to high reviews, of course.
4 stars from me, I think.
I can't remember what mine was, but it's for sure between 4 to 4.5 stars, I'm sure. And I've actually been waiting for Sentimental Value for the longest time, since I heard of it. Joachim Trier, I've actually been such a fan of him when I watched The Worst Person in the World, also starring Renate Reinsve. And now with Sentimental Value, he's literally brought back this authorical style of his to a whole new level. And I was just telling Lewis before we started that this film is one of those pure genre drama films that isn't really a drama mixed with any other genre. It's really just a pure expression of what drama is in cinema. So, Lewis, talk to me about your watching experience. You said initially you were a bit bored by it, but when did you start getting interested? At what point do you remember any scene that you like or anything that got you interested?
Yeah, I remember. It was the scene I remember the scene itself where Borg was there with what's the name? Noah.
Sorry, just to reference, he means Gustav Borg, who is
Gustav Borg.
Skarsgård.
Gustav Borg, playing in the film, was there with
For future reference, just let's use the actor's name so that everyone knows.
What's the actor's name?
Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan Skarsgård. Okay. So we have the scene with Stellan over here with his daughter, Renata. Stellan and Renata. These two in the scene itself where it takes place in a bar / cafe, I don't know. And
let's just call it a bistro.
Let's call it a bistro, I must say. So I like that scene itself because when Stellan decides to talk to his daughter about what's gonna happen, and he has an idea for his daughter to do a film and be like the main role for his film itself, I started to see okay, so this is a way for the father to try to get in his good books in the eyes of his daughter, knowing that they've not spoken for a very, very long time due to things that happened in the past. And it was one of the ways that he was trying to, build a bond with the daughter, but obviously she wasn't having any of it, right? She wasn't having a single bit of it. And you could see that there was a sense of duality, let's just say, with the two sisters. One of them has a kid and husband has a family and is okay terms with the father. The other one, you could say a bit more rebellious, focuses on the theater. She's not really that close with the father. So then, as the film goes by, you get to see a bit of drama unfold, how these two characters react differently with their father, knowing that for spoilers, but I think it's not really a spoiler, knowing that mother passed away. So it's kind of like a weird moment in the family, trying to reunite the family, literally. But all the damage has been done, and it's quite hard to fix back what has been damaged.
To Sentimental Value, at this point in time, it received a 19-minute standing ovation when it premiered in Cannes Film Festival, which is of course amazing. Cannes Film Festival is well known. If they don't like your film, they will boo the shit out of you right there. So to get a 19-minute standing ovation is amazing already. Then you've got also Sentimental Value has scooped 9 Golden Globe nomination already, and for sure it's going to be a contender for Norway in the upcoming Oscars next year. So that's something to look forward to. And I think, to be honest with you, Stellan Skarsgård probably will be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He's of course a very famous actor, Stellan Skarsgård, the most famous actor in this entire ensemble. He's in Dune, he's in Andor, he's in Good Will Hunting. The list of films he's been in is amazing, and to be honest, he's like the legend. Even though he is Swedish, though, just to let you all know, he is Swedish, but he's in a Norwegian film. I guess it works
Because I
same like
think the
that.
language, Swedish and Norway, or all these Nordic languages, they're almost similar in ways, like Danish, Nordic, Swedish,
Yeah.
Icelandic.
I mean,
They're all similar.
like I will say, Louis, like if Stellan Skarsgård has one of the most interesting movie resumes you'll ever see. Of course, the more recent films that are popular are Dune and Dune Part 2, which he plays in. But you also have Thor, you have Pirates of the Caribbean, Mamma Mia, Good Will Hunting. So quite an interesting
It's quite
resume of
vast.
films he's
It's
got.
very,
Yeah, yeah.
very vast.
And one of those people where you see in this film, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm seeing Stellan Skarsgård come back to Scandinavian cinema and do this, because he's made such a name for himself in Hollywood. But just slightly off topic, but we're still on track. What do you think about a popular Hollywood proven legend like Stellan Skarsgård coming back to, not to say his local film industry, but basically coming back to Scandinavia, the local region he's from, and being in a film? What do you think as a Malaysian? How do you feel? Like, do you think it'd be like, it's like if Michelle Yeoh decided to come back to Malaysia and act in, Mat Rempit 3? I don't know.
I was just gonna say, I'll use the context of Tan Sri Michelle Yeoh. Yeah, you could say it's equivalent as like someone like Michelle Yeoh, or let's just say Henry Golding, for example. These two legend. I mean, okay, Henry Golding. Yeah, yeah, he is Malaysian. Yeah. Well, the thing, yeah, I guess you could say that, like, imagine these two actors were to come back for maybe, let's say, Adnan Sempit 4, Scenario Oats Pochot, the newest films or whatnot. It's like it's quite surreal to see it. Now, some might say, people be like, oh, these guys, they had to go outside of Malaysia to make a name for themselves, but you probably have the more patriotic Malaysia be like, Malaysia boleh, ni tanah darahku, ni dulu Malaysia ni, Papa best no. In translation, these two guys are from Malaysia. I feel very happy that they're Malaysians. Okay, do not direct translate it word for word. If you're Malaysian, you probably know what this bapak means. But
so basically, like, how do you feel about the film industry being affected or not affected by an actor like this coming down from Hollywood to be in their local film industry? Do you think it's helpful? Yes or no?
Yes, 100% is helpful. Because obviously, I'm not so sure about Norway's film industry. Obviously, I'm not Norwegian, so I don't know what's it like. But we can say on behalf of Malaysia, if let's say you have like someone famous were to go outside of Malaysia to do their bits and pieces for cinema and come back to Malaysia, it kind of puts Malaysia on the map if you think about it. Malaysia
It does, but then it doesn't. I understand exactly what you mean. I feel like it does put Malaysia on the map, but it doesn't directly benefit any Malaysian. It just shows that a Malaysian can do it, which is the only possible benefit, right? But I feel like Michelle Yeoh came back to the industry and she actually sort of put her stamp on things and said, no, this is the way things need to be done. And she took more of an active role in that. I feel maybe there could be a good improvement in our film industry to take more risks and to open up.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
Michelle Yeoh's Oscar-winning part in her film Everything Everywhere All at Once
yep.
was originally written for Jackie Chan.
Yeah, all I can say is let's keep the Malaysia cinema for a separate podcast or whatnot. But just like back on like to this topic, yeah, it's good to put Malaysia on the map. But then again, it kind of shows like the state where it just like, oh look, if you're from this country, you literally have to go out, make a name for yourself, and only come back and then you be seen as someone. I guess because we can talk about this for hours on end about this topic.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say, redirecting it into Sentimental Value again, I do think that the way the Norwegian cinema or the Scandinavian region has really brought together all the best talent from different parts of Scandinavia to just really build a cohesive film industry among several countries. And that's part of what I love about Sentimental Value, because even though it is a Norwegian film, you have a Swedish legend who is basically starring in the film, right? And some of my personal favorite performances was also from Renata Reinsve. She's been amazing. She played Nora, the eldest daughter,
Yeah, I love her
and so
acting.
she
I
she
love it.
she's fantastic, and she was also the main character in The Worst Person in the World. So she was actually someone that Joachim Trier has worked with before as a main character, and he actually saw her as an extra once, and then wrote something for her, and then boom, here we go. She's also been in the Hollywood series Presume Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal, so that's the start
Ooh.
of her Hollywood entrance now. Good for her. I mean, it's honestly like Sentimental Value is such a film that's not necessarily something that you would say is really flashy, but it is a beautiful film, I think. At the end of the day, once you have the patience to get to a certain point, like Lewis, you're gonna find something that just clicks, and then you're in it. And for me, it's actually quite surprising that you found the conversation something that was interesting. Most people are like, "What are these guys talking about?" But you actually took the time to listen, and then you started to get the relationships, and then it became a whole thing for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. If let's say you were to show this to any Tom, Dick, and Harry, like let's just say like a normal, average cinema goer who is not really like hardcore, doesn't even study about film or like does like all film theory or whatnot behind or make films or whatnot. They are the type that if you were to watch this film itself, they'll probably turn it off after 10 minutes, and they'll probably switch to another genre itself where it's a lot more bang 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 action. Whereas with this film, it can go from point A to point H to point I to point B to Z or whatnot, instead of like your normal 3 act structure in there. This film itself, it just plays out as it is, and this is a film where it's not there to like. Okay, I mean every film is there to please the audience, but at the same time, this film is like if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's the way this film is meant
It's
to.
honest lah.
It's honest. Let's just say it's straight up and honest. You don't like it. There's always other films for you. That's what I feel like about this film, and even a simple thing such as a conversation at the bistro itself spoke 1,000 words to me about what is their situation like in that 5 to 8 minute scene itself. Then it kind of built onto like what's going to happen for the later films, the later scenes, like for example, the bit where they're drinking at the beach, all these sort of things, and then you start to paint the picture of everything. All right. Yeah.
I actually it's great that you brought up that scene, because I was just gonna start talking about Elle Fanning. She plays the American actress that Gustav Stellan Skarsgård's character wants to act in his film initially, right? To me, I think she has had an amazing year. Elle Fanning specifically, because she's done Predator Badlands, which you can watch now, and she's also doing Sentimental Value. That's literally the best of both worlds. You're doing a crowd pleaser like Predator Badlands, which is clearly a box office film and an IP film. But then you've also got Sentimental Value, which is a film that is, if you don't you bring your A game as an actor, and that's the kind of, she's having an amazing year. And to be honest, I did not expect to see her in this film, because I thought she was gonna be like speaking Norwegian or something, and I was like, holy crap, if she speaks a Norwegian one time, it's an Oscar right there. But no, she speaks English, everyone, just to let you you know.
I mean, it was done in three
Also,
languages. I remember.
yes, it
The
was
film.
done in 3 languages. And I was very, very impressed with how this is something that appears to be only prevalent in a European film, where languages seem to really blend like nobody's business. Like Louis mentioned, there's 3 languages in this film. There's Norwegian, there's English, and what was the other one?
Swedish, if I'm
French?
not mistaken.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell by the way it says. Like,
I
it could
mean,
very well be three
for
or four
me, I
languages.
did not hear it.
I know it was I know it's French because he was in France for the film festival, and then English, obviously, Norwegian, yes. Swedish is very possible too, but to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't be able to tell.
I
You know
mean,
what? Neither of us.
obviously we can't hear it because we're not from that part of the region. But I just quickly went on Google and then just decided to like search it up. Like, there's English, there's Sweden, Norway,
If if
Norway.
Google says it, then we won't argue.
Yeah, so
You know,
it was there. It was there. So then I wanted to like get a bit of information about the film before
that's
doing
good. That's good.
letterbox, and yeah, before doing my
Yeah,
letterbox
no, that's
review.
good. That's good. That's good. I mean that's part of the thing I feel with European cinema nowadays as well, and even back then, like the language just seems to blend. I'm gonna take a closer look at Asian cinema and see if that works as well, because
Yeah,
I feel like it probably should. I
but
know with like Western cinema, it's predominantly English
but the
now,
thing
but like
is, if you were to do it Asian cinema, let's take for example, let's take the language Chinese for example. You have many different dialects. If let's say for example you were to combine Cantonese where it sounds very very rough, and then Mandarin which sounds okay, not that rough, but it's not that pleasing if you were to speak Cantonese. Obviously, I can't speak Cantonese. I only can speak just a bit of Mandarin. So you can tell like the difference between like maybe if to like a person like let's say for example you Monish, you can speak Tamil, okay, maybe a bit Malay and English, of course, right? I'm sure you'll be able to tell like sort of like okay, maybe if you have to listen to it like a second or two.
notice the differences.
Yes, it's just like think of it as like a Wong Kar-wai film. Wow, see, Wong Kar-wai is mentioned in this episode, but that's
Yeah, I
another.
mean Wong Kar-wai is like the number one Cantonese director. All
Yeah.
his films are
Oh yeah,
Cantonese.
it's Cantonese, and then if less, then you hear someone speak Mandarin like Jackie Chan use Jackie Chan as a good example. He can speak, I think, Cantonese and Mandarin also
Yeah, I
at
mean
the
he
same time.
speaks
So
them
there you
all.
go.
I mean he speaks them all, but not to get onto this topic too much because
Yeah,
we're on sentimental value. But
yeah.
like I get what I mean. Like it's an interesting thing European cinema has because they switch languages so often there that it feels so
It feels
like you're
natural.
almost watching one country instead of several countries. But I think also like talk about the visuals, Louis, about of this film. Like how did you find the visuals especially?
I mean, if we're on video right now, you can see that I'm wearing a Liverpool shirt from last season. I reason why I wear this shirt, I'm wearing this shirt because obviously, like in the film itself, there was a lot of red color. Even the slightest detail, the red color was a constant in the film. It begins with like the scene of like Nora in the theater, and then you could see like some close-ups of her lips being red, the house being red, then eventually being painted into a white color in the later scenes. I like the visuals of the film itself because the color was very consistent. You know, red signifies like maybe like something dark, something like traumatic, a traumatic experience from the past, something, you know, maybe a bit of a hints of violence, but not directly, but indirectly, because obviously you have flashbacks of like their grandmother, obviously the director's mother, like committing suicide in the film itself. So red is like the predominant color which sticks to me and just makes me think like, why is red over here? So it's kind of like I like it for that. Then the cinematography, it almost seems like very very raw, just like how we did the Smashing Machine the other day, but it's two different films, of course. But a lot of handheld movements, which I kind of like, adds to the unstableness of the relationship of the family. And I think it's only like less than 10 shots, maybe less than 20 shots in the film itself were used on the tripod itself, maybe for like a couple of wide shots, maybe some hallway shots. Everything was on handheld, and all I can say is I like the shots that were used, the colors that were used, and everything of it was just like it adds to the story itself. It adds a bit more subtext in a way through the cinematography.
I mean for me what stood out was the screenwriting, because it's a talky film, you know, it's all conversation.
Yeah.
It can get boring real fast, but Joachim Trier actually made it really well paced. The momentum was good.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah,
talking from a
because once you
screen.
hit that, sorry, just one more
Sure,
thing,
sure,
just
sure.
like once you hit that point, like that Lewis said, where he started to really sit up and be more interested, which was the bistro scene conversation between Nora and Gustav, Stellan and Renata. Beyond that point, you will honestly never be able to tear your eyes off the screen because you're already super invested in that relationship. You see how Nora and her father have that relationship. Then you see how, what was the Nora's sister's name? I forget.
Agnes.
Yes. Then you see Agnes's relationship with her father. She feels the same as Nora, but her relationship with Gustav is very different at first glance, lah. Because she's chosen the white picket fence life. She's got a kid, a husband, a home, a stable job. But Nora is different. Nora is actually like her dad. Nora is a theater actor, which her father is not a fan of theater, but she's a filmmaker, she's a theater actor. Both of them are in the creative field. Neither of them are married, obviously. Neither of them have healthy lives. Like Nora is in an affair with a married man. So there's all of that as well. And then you have all of these, and both of them are struggling with their own creative problems outside of their personal problems, which also have a relationship with each other. And for me, the genius in the screenwriting is that their personal problems, obviously father and daughter, so the relationship is pretty cemented. But the fact is, Nora and her father's creative problems are also linked, because he's a director, she's an actor. So 1 + 1, you know? And you have that really cool metaphor of what it is the eldest child goes through that no other child goes through. And this is not a spoiler because they did have it in the trailers and in the clips where Nora and Agnes are having a conversation, and Nora talks about how fucked up she was, and then she looks at Agnes and goes, why didn't you turn out the same way? And then Agnes goes, because we had different childhoods. Nora goes, what do you mean? And Agnes said, I had you. And I obviously started crying lah. So, like literally, Agnes has a different childhood because Nora was there to protect her. Nora has a completely different childhood because she didn't have an elder sibling. So that's why I was so impressed, because to write characters that deep is not easy. And to understand, you could have two people who are the same age, but if one is the youngest in the family and one is the eldest in the family, the two of them have completely different modes of working, completely different ideas of responsibility, focus, discipline, how they move through life. And the eldest child tends to always have their way of working, and the youngest child tends to care about as much as no one. you know the younger one is always tends to be more laid back. But when you look at it this way, the younger one still feels the yearning of creativity, but she fights it because she feels that her experiences weren't great, which is why when Gustav poses a role for his grandson, Agnes's son, Agnes gets worried, right? And it feels all a bit much. And Nora straight up tells Gustav to go fuck himself in the beginning. So there's a whole moment with that characterization as well. But I think Sentimental Value has that really, really impressive sort of momentum between the characters and how the film moves forward, that it just feels right. And the emotion is really delivered well. Personally, I think the film is a universal film. I don't think it's just Norwegians or Europeans. I think if you show this to anyone who is a cinephile, who is patient, I think Sentimental Value will hit just the same. But yeah, I mean, Lewis, tell me a bit more about what you like performance-wise, or maybe something you took from it as a filmmaker from Joachim Trier's directing style. This is your first Joachim Trier film.
Yes.
Okay, so as a filmmaker yourself, like talk about what are you looking at? What do you think you're like, oh, that's a good idea, I can use for my next film or something?
Before I answer that question, I need to take the Pepsi Black out of the freezer.
So while Lewis is gone, let's just hope his Pepsi Black is not frozen. Yeah. So hey guys, Nice to see you all. This is going to be fun to cut out.
So what I can take away from this film would probably be like the writing style of this film. In terms of the technicality side, I I I picked up a few things that he did. You know, maybe like some scenes that's like handheld shots, some scenes that's like not handheld shots, and then maybe sometimes the cinematography can add like a bit of depth to the story itself. But the main takeaway that I would like to say I took away from this film was 1000% the script writing. Being able to like pinpoint like, you know, what you said, the father's relationship, Gustav with Nora, for example. These two people, sorry, both in the creative field. One is a filmmaker, one is obviously a theater actor who has like their own complicated mess outside, which I kind of like after I listened to you explain a bit more about it, I was linking the dots in my head. I started to realize that I was like, yeah, that is true. Then you have the older sister, Agnes, who's kind of seen as like that person with everything worked out, has a son, has a husband, and you know, the script writing in a way showcases like a bit of contrast, let's just say, the contrast between each character, with the exception of Nora and Gustav, who are almost similar in a way, but obviously with their own difficult problems. And I guess in terms of me trying to learn more as a script writer, this film is a perfect example on how to like link like characters together and being able to do an in-depth analysis on how characters play a huge role when you really take the time into finding out who they are, what they do, and all these sort of things, because sometimes people tend to forget the fact that characters and the story itself are just as important than the technical side of the film. Unless you're a DOP, that's a different story. But if you're looking at it from a director and scriptwriter point of view, these are one of the most important things that you need in the film. And I would say the script writing for me was one of the things I really took away from this film. On to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've said my piece on the script writing, but yeah, Joachim Trier is definitely a really sublime writer. You know, he's got all these really well thought out themes and characters, and also I think the filmmaking in general is done with a very light touch. In this, he doesn't do too much. He knows when to stop, and I think that's just the best part, right? Like, also, I feel that maybe this character is not so far away from Stellan Skarsgård's life. You know, he has 8 children,
Hey.
and he also is very similar to his character Gustav, where he's a divorced man who remarried. He's had children in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, and 2020. So the guy has had kids, and you can imagine with a father being that famous with this many big movies, I highly doubt he was home 24/7. So I'm sure he must have been able to dig around and be like, "What's up?" You know? But also his children are amazing. His children, Alexander Skarsgård, if you know, the guy's been in The Northman with Edward Berger. He's starring in Murderbot now for Apple TV, Legend of Tarzan with Margot Robbie, Pillion. Then, of course, you got Bill Skarsgård, who is the monster in It. You know, the horror movie. He's the monster.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, and then you've got Gustav Skarsgård, who is also an actor in many TV roles. So you know, he's got an amazing set of kids, right? And I feel like this film feels slightly autobiographical for him in small ways. I'm sure it's not, but I feel like he didn't have to stretch too far for this. I'm sure he knows how to play a role and he knows how to do what he needs to do. But that to me is really what Sentimental Value is. Sentimental Value is that kind of film where I feel almost like if I rewatched it, I would learn a lot more.
Same.
Because
I
I've seen
agree.
the film 2 times already.
Oh
I've
wow.
seen the film 2 times, and I know that when I watched it the second time, I was a lot more aware of things going on, and I was paying attention to things naturally. And I feel like that's a good thing for every filmmaker to do. Or if you generally want to relive your childhood trauma, why not? I'm really anxious for some people to watch this because I feel like the eldest daughter trauma is very relatable in across all circles, which is why I think Sentimental Value hits very well, and also, in my opinion, is one of, if not possibly, the best film of the year. Because when you watch a film once and it has value to you, that's great. That's already where you want to be. But if you watch the same film again and you find new value in it, I think you've got something special on your hands. But yeah, Lewis, closing statement for Sentimental Value. What do you think the people should know about this film?
Go watch it. Go in there with an open mind. Don't think twice about the film. It's a
Be
relatable
patient.
film. Be patient, of course. It's almost like a relatable film to everyone who has been through like hardships in life, no matter which family you come from, wherever you are from, wherever life takes you. You'll be able to relate to some of the things which were shown in the film itself, which I kind of like. I might not be the older sibling in my family. Obviously, I have an older brother and younger sister, so I'm the middle child, of course. But I mean, just seeing things on like what is life like as like a person who's the person in charge of the house, the younger sibling, how sometimes families like become like this because of the past history and how it shapes them today. Because sometimes people can't move away from the past because can't move to the future. Sorry, because they're too, not to say stuck in the past, but it's due to unfortunate circumstances which happened in the past, which kind of like replace in them in their memory all the time. And it's like a good way, and you could say in a way it's like a good mental health film in a way, but not directly, but like indirectly in a way, where it showcases like how people going through hardships like take on everyday life. And I certainly enjoy it. And to everyone listening to this podcast, go watch it. I'll give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Who knows, maybe in the next time I watch it, it could be a solid 9.5, 10. That remains to be seen. But that's all I have to say, really.
Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you all for listening, and we're trying to do more episodes. Lewis is gonna go and watch Avatar: Fire and Ash soon, right?
Yes, that's gonna be on so today we're filming this on the 27th. I am gonna go on the Monday, watch the
2 days
film
time lah.
in 2 days time to watch the film and get myself a good workout at the gym.
There we go. So expect an Avatar podcast coming up soon. If you guys already have not heard it, the Smashing Machine podcast is already out. So have a good look at that one. And thank you all for listening. We have officially passed 180 listeners this month.
Oh wow.
So that is a really cool jump from our last year of 100 flat. So that's really awesome. Thank you all for listening. We'll do our best to put out more episodes.